Hello and welcome to the Pine and Haboo Pixel Art Variety Hour, or at least it would be if Pine were here. Instead, I am joined by JUSIV, who is kind
Hello,
enough to
I'm Justin.
who was kind enough to replace Pine. Say hi, JUSIV.
Old Deacon's living, his block was given the way of living right. He said no winging, no ragtime singing tonight.
Okay, this is the last time we're doing it, and if we do it any longer, that'll be that. Hello and welcome to the Pine and Haboo Pixel Art Variety Hour, or at least it would be if Pine were here. Instead, I'm joined by JUSIV, who you may know because we talk about him a lot on this show. JUSIV was kind enough to replace Pine, who is busy doing who knows what, but we planned this 6 days in advance, so it shouldn't be anything. Say hi, JUSIV.
Hello, I'm JUSIV. Yes, I've been a mentioned appearance on this show before, but I'm not officially part of it, except for today when I'm channeling Pine. Uh,
It's a dangerous thing to channel. Today we're going to be sitting down with a good friend of the whole pixel art community. Everyone say hi to RSVP ASAP. Say hi.
Hi.
Oh, this is a mess.
it's
Stoked to
fine,
be
it's
here.
fine.
Stoked to
So,
chat.
since I'm channeling Pine, I guess I could start with like his classic question. So, what's your name origin,
Yeah,
RSVP?
where does it come from? What's RSVP mean besides the obvious?
All right, so okay, funny story, right? So you know how in like wedding invitations people write like RSVP ASAP means like rape on day, s'il vous plaît, as soon as possible. Well, that's
Yeah,
it. That's
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 it.
the story. That's the
Is
whole
there
tale.
do you have a certain connection to French and English combined sayings? Why specifically RSVP ASAP?
I don't know, it just kind of looks good and it says like a lot, it's a lot of words you get in there for just a few letters.
Has anyone ever called you RSVAP ASAP? Is that a common? What do we call you? Because it's quite the mouth.
I mean, it's like lucky nobody has to say it in like real life generally.
Well, here we
Yeah.
are.
Everyone's all just typed out. Yeah, I know. It's a whole new world.
You could be like Prince. You could just be a symbol.
Oh, I should. This is an upgrade. New brand.
New brand
You're
for the
witnessing it
art.
here first.
It's a variety hour original story. Let's just get right into it. I think I speak for a lot of our little pixel art ring when I say that one of the main things I associate with you and you and pixel art is the Santa's Workshop collab, which I had the pleasure of being reminded was 2 years ago.
I know, isn't that
By
disgusting?
That's awful. I hate that. So could you tell us how that kind of got going and how this little keystone of Pixel Daily's pixel art history came to be?
Well, I mean, when I joined Pixel Dailies, like they were already like full on doing cool collab things for different themes, and I was like super nervous and didn't know how to get involved, and like was too scared to talk to anybody. Classic internet stuff.
Hmm.
But then I eventually finally joined one, and I don't even remember what it was, but it was fun and I enjoyed it. And I don't know, I've just been like hard on the collabs ever since.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I got to know you at all. Like we first started like doing, I've also been very big in Fixed Days collab scenes, so that's mostly how I first started interacting with you for anything.
I think all of
Well,
us.
that's pretty much how I started interacting
Yeah, pretty
with
much. Yeah,
anybody.
that is literally how all of these people got to know each other.
How okay? Were you in any other communities before Pixel Dailies, or was that your first foray into the community?
Before that, it was just in like the game maker community, and that's how
Oh,
I
okay.
discovered Pixel Dailies. Because I don't know if you guys remember Omar, but he was in the game maker community, and he had like posted one of his Pixel Dailies. I was like, oh, that sounds fun. I want to do
Mhm.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a
just you want
programmer
to
on
talk
the
about how fun it is?
Omar was the programmer on the Santa's workshop thing, right?
I was a programmer, yeah. I like
Did you
to
make that?
dabble with some code.
Oh, you
Did
were
you
okay.
make did you make that in Game Maker or?
It was Game Maker, yeah.
Was it Game Maker 1 or 2? Because I know they like took it off Steam and stuff. So
I was
um,
2.
it was 2. Okay, wow. How old is Game Maker 2? Because I remember when that came out, and that is really I think it's been like 5 years since that thing came out, hasn't it?
2016, I think. So
20.
a minute.
Yeah.
Also,
So
don't
like,
forget, you're talking Game Maker Studio. Game Maker existed before that. Like I started with Game Maker 7.
I'm trying
Yeah,
not
I've
to
heard of
think
a Game
about
Maker
that.
8 as well, but I've never
I'm
actually
gonna.
seen one in action.
I'm just. Time is an illusion. That's what we learned today.
It's kind of awful. Like I started doing pixel art in like 2018, maybe. And
I
now it's like what,
started.
21?
It's
Actually,
2021. Yeah.
related to that though, what got you into making pixel art?
So I had a roommate that he's like a cool actor guy, like never struck me as like a computer nerd, He like made a Flappy Bird clone using like Game Maker and like some tutorial on YouTube. And I was just like so impressed and blown away, and I was like, if he could do it, I could maybe do it. And I like downloaded Game Maker that day, and I was like, I'll make it a game. And
Was Game Maker free back then?
there's like a trial you can
Oh,
get.
okay. Right.
And I made this really atrocious like Pong game, and it was like super broken, but I was so proud. And then I was like, I'm gonna make the best game ever. I'm gonna make my like dream RPG crazy. Every game maker has a dream project, but I tried to jump right into that, and of course, like failed miserably. And I've just been doing tiny projects ever since.
What programs are you sporting these days?
Well, for the longest time, I only used Game Maker, and I used their like in house editor. Are you laughing?
You are
I
insane.
I started that way too. That's how I started out. Exactly the Game Maker. That's 8 sprite editor. Like
I think it's great. I still think their sprite editor's like pretty good. I'm not sure why everybody has like such a strong hatred towards it.
the lack of
But, like,
layers
It's yeah.
in the
Even
old
Well, no,
ones
layers?
was a
didn't
problem.
they add layers? I feel like they added layers recently.
Oh, there's layers for sure. They got
Yeah, there's layers
on
now.
layers
There
on
didn't
there.
used to be.
Back in my day, we had to use
I
we had to
recall.
translate it from
It's
graph
been a
paper.
while though. Maybe there were.
Um,
Pretty
Why
sure
on
there
one
were,
layer
though.
and a bit of gumption.
I started with Piskel. I don't know if you guys know what Piskel is. It's like
No.
it's like a free like online pixel art editor, and then I used that for a little bit, and then I was like, this is I feel limited, I guess. The animation on it especially is really bad, so I got Sprite, as I'm sure a lot of people do. Uh,
Yeah, I
and
also
Sprite is
upgraded to Sprite eventually.
I need to properly try it. I own it now, but I haven't
you don't.
actually.
What do you use? What do you use? Now you're getting
Pixel Edit.
questions. Oh, okay. I think I've seen people use it, but I'm like not aware because I've like heard of it, but I've heard myths of it.
I wouldn't say it's better than Sprite from what I've heard, but it's fine. It's perfectly serviceable for what I need to do.
It's good for art. You can make art with it. That's like
As
the
long as it
least
draws cool
flattering.
squares.
It does triangles. It's a bit iffy.
That'd be
Let's-
incredible. Why isn't there like a triangle?
I think there
Well,
is.
when we had Glacier on, we were talking about 4D voxel art. And we
Yeah.
were trying to think of a name of it, but really I don't know. How would you even go about doing that? As 3-dimensional beings, how would we make 4D art?
Well, it has to transcend time.
You have to make
And
pixel. You have to
space.
collaborate with yourself in a different time. Let's move on to my next question. So a while ago, I made a statement as a joke. I said, and like now I'm starting to agree with it. Now that I think about it, it's really pretentious. But I said pixel art is like jazz. It's about the pixels you don't place. Now, say what you will about it, but do you approach the medium like that? Do you see it as like, I need to push every single pixel I can? I gotta write my magnum opus on every single square? Or are you just like, I'm gonna do bold strokes, I'm gonna do what I can. If I can't get everything on the page, that's just that. What's your approach?
I think it really depends on the piece, because I mean, if you're drawing some huge, like hundreds of pixels by hundreds of pixels, I mean, I don't know, every pixel doesn't really count as much as if you're doing like a 16 by 16 sprite for a game or something. So I
Right.
guess it just really depends. But I like broad strokes, to be honest. Like, as a general rule, like large
It,
sprites and yeah, broad strokes.
as time has gone on, I've been just my art has just gotten larger and larger, and I fear in 3 years I'm just gonna be doing digital art.
Is that a fear? I feel like that's more of like a dream. That'd be great.
Is it a dream? Do you think do you feel limited by pixel art? Not like a like obvious. It's a limited medium, but like do you feel in like a bad way? Do you feel limited?
I don't know if it's a bad way, but I feel like I lack all of the other digital art talents because I've spent so much time focusing on just this one thing, which is like a blessing and a curse, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's funny because I kind of associate you with smaller stuff. Like scrolling through your like Twitter, for example. Like I definitely can see like your recent stuff is larger, but I guess since I first got to know you at all from like the daily scene, you had a lot of more smaller scope stuff from back then. So it's
That's just
interesting
because
to
I
hear your.
stopped doing dailies.
Yes, that's fair. Dailies do kind of encourage you to work very small.
Oh, yeah, I'm
From
not
experience.
doing hundreds of pixels, you know, by hundreds of pixels every day. That's crazy. I was
Mhm.
like hard pressed to do like a 16 by 16, be like, "Oh, that's good enough." Like, that's a day.
Oh, but to get that retweet from the Pixel Daily's Twitter is just chef's kiss.
No, it's like cocaine.
It's
Like,
like coke. That's what we said. That's what we said last time we brought this up. We said it was like crack cocaine.
JUSIV is still
But,
waiting
like,
for his retweet.
The Pixel Daily's retweet is like crack cocaine.
It's like it's just we see these internet points go up and we're just going crazy.
Maybe
I
it's
had
a
just
retweet that actually does something,
it does,
unlike
yeah.
freaking like pixel art bots.
I'm
That's
telling you, man,
true.
those pixel art bots get me through the day. When I see I've got a retweet, even though it's from the bot, I'm like my day is set. I can go. I'm gonna get out of bed tomorrow just to get that retweet from Pixel. What is it? What are they called? It's like Pixel Art Bot. It's just Pixel Art Bot, isn't it?
There's a few ones.
There's a
I
few
know I
ones.
straight up blocked Mr. Pixeler, the one. I don't know if that one's still even active, but it would like copy your text and your image and it wouldn't like link to your thing. It's like, come on.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
and
that's
sometimes it
wonderful.
like didn't even show the image. Like, I feel like I haven't seen one of those in a while, but I've also like post on Twitter like once every 3 months now.
I noticed you've been a little inactive. No, there's no shame. Like, come on, we all have periods of inactivity just out of the nature of the site. But like, do you feel you're kind of on a leave of absence right now? Well, I guess not JUSIV, but do you feel like you're kind of on a leave of absence right now, or do you?
I mean,
What's your relationship
kinda.
with pixel art?
Well, it's been on and off here for a while, right? But
Right.
no, but I don't know. I did like a pretty big contract piece, like I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and like
Ooh.
I don't know, doing contract pieces takes like the fun out of doing it for yourself, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Mm.
Like
Do you have
it's great,
commissions
it's good
open?
money. Not really. Like
Mm,
I'll listen if somebody approaches me, you know.
right.
They're never really closed, but they're not always open. For
I hear
example,
I hear you. I hear you.
I actually don't really like doing commissions very often. It really depends on the project, I guess. Like some are like super fun, like people have great ideas and they're like, "Oh, I want you to turn my character into a pixel art thing." And you're like, "Oh, great, easy, fun." But then other times they come to you, they're like, "I want this like complicated UI, or I want, you know, something that you've never done."
I think
And I don't know, I just like don't want to be at it.
he who shall not be named, the fruity one, he said something about doing like he did like buy for a game and it was like really draining, but he got paid like $200 or something, like in total for like not a ton. It wasn't a ton of sprites, but he was like, he was set for a good while, and it's like, man, what's you're getting money, but like, do you really want to?
Dark
Well,
pixel money.
it depends how bad you need some money, I guess.
That's true. How much of a starving artist are you? Let's go back to our little corner of PD tied pixel artists here for a minute. Uh, let's just talk about collaboration, in general. There are websites like Fido Tiles out there. There are all these discords that do collaborative pieces. I think we're in an era, pixel artly speaking, like a renaissance of collaborative pixel art. Do you interact with the community a lot on these sort of things these days? I know you did a lot in the past, but you know, are you more of a lonely pixelmancer, or are you more of a what do you like more? Really, is the main question.
I mean, I love doing collabs. I just haven't had, I don't know, like the wherewithal to want to do it lately. Like I still watch everybody every week, like making all these like cubes and tiles and neat fun things. I'm like, oh, that sounds fun, but like I just like don't have the energy, I guess.
No, I totally get it.
Like I don't know, it
It's
comes in waves, I find, and like I don't know, the last couple days I've been like a little bit more inspired to get back into like game development and drawing and stuff, but it's not always that easy.
I totally get what you mean.
Art's
It's
hard.
difficult. It is. It totally is. And I feel like I'm in like a wave right now where I'm doing like a ton of art, and I'm like worried that when is this gonna go away? And that kind of
But
I'm like
it always
anxious
goes away
about.
eventually.
It does, and that's the scary part.
But it comes back too, like in time.
Yeah. But like when I'm impatient.
I know. I feel
Yeah,
that
gotta
all the
channel it while you have it is what I say. Like,
Right. I've been in a frenzy. I checked in like 5 Fido tiles in like a
oh
day. It was
jeez,
crazy.
I
Do
feel like I
either of you
haven't done a
do
Fido
a
tile
Fido
since, oh my
tile
god.
thing.
do either of you do Fido tiles? No, I guess you just said you did.
I've never done one. I really should someday though.
They're great. They're wonderful. Great website. Fido is a saint.
My
Fido.
sole interaction with the Lost Vegas is posting one palette, and that's it. Wait, Fido has a different site than Low Spec. Why was I? Hang on,
I
don't
don't.
worry about that.
Sometimes low spec. Sometimes low spec posts quilts. I can see the confusion.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But you know what we should be worrying about? Last month we skipped, um, which is very unfortunate because last month something in the art world happened that everybody is talking about. Are you guys willing to talk about NFT?
Oh boy.
You guys have opinions
I
about
don't know enough
NFT?
about it.
Let's
I mean,
so
if you can get on it, good for you.
I'm
I just don't think
that's
the
actually
environmental impact is worth it.
that's why I kind of wanted to get you RSVP, because as somebody who's kind of like not entirely in the loop about it, I want to get like your take, and your take
Oh, I
seems
am
to be
not at
just like
all in the loop about it. Like, I have no idea. I actually had some friends talking about it recently, and they're like, "Yeah, you could like do yada yada." I'm like, okay.
I feel like no matter what we say, we're gonna make someone upset because we did something wrong. So let's just kind of go for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. To be clear, none of us are experts on this.
No,
God,
no,
not even kind of. Like, I don't
not
even
even.
really understand the premise, to be honest.
The premise of it is basically you get this special certificate that says, I have a genuine copy of this thing. Except it's not a genuine copy of the thing. It's
It's
a
just a digital
genuine
thing.
it's basically a JSON file that has a URL that to the image, and it lets you and through that URL but because you own that, you own the NFT.
But you
On
can sell it for lots of money, and that's like the
But you're basically just selling a link to a thing,
you're
not the
selling
actual
a
thing.
PNG, not even a P. Sometimes
No,
it's
you're
a
not selling a PNG. You're
JPEG.
selling a link to a PNG.
I think last night on Arisuki's stream, I was like, it's kind of like if you took a picture of the Mona Lisa, and then you were like, I own the Mona Lisa because you have a picture of the Mona Lisa, and then you also like while taking the picture, you also burn down like a moderately sized apple grove. That's kind of what I imagine NFT when I
Yeah,
think
it's
of
not
when
far
I
off
think of it.
from what I
It's
understand.
so like yeah, so like you to make it's like a Bitcoin that you like need a specific like with a Bitcoin you can like move it around. It's like there can be it's not unique. So if I have a Bitcoin and I give it to you,
She said, oh, take no use of preaching.
relevant to our show here, somebody just sold an NFT of a single pixel. We're
Nice.
tying it back here.
Probably
They sold
good.
an NFT, $1 million. $1 million.
Yeah.
What? No.
That's what I'm. It's like, I'm like, I use way more than 1 pixel in my art, and I feel like it's not even. I mean, my commission prices are already too low. I had a big discussion about that with somebody. It's
I feel
just
like that's
it's
a
just
problem
Daily
in,
pixels for
in the
free.
pixel art community. It's like so many people undervalue their work.
Trust me, I've been having that discussion. Maybe it's part of it is that it's because it's a limited medium. We kind of think that it isn't like mentally as valuable as like a digital piece. I definitely see like people I know who aren't pixel artists. I see them kind of like dismiss it almost as kind of a lesser art form. And what do you what do you think of that? What do you think compared to digital art? What is the value of pixelated artwork?
I
I mean,
think
it's
it's all
inherently
it
niche.
should all be worth the same. Like in my mind, like your time is worth money,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily the output.
What a
Yeah.
really valuable thing I heard is like when you're pricing your art, you should also take into account the time it took you to learn how to get to make that kind of art, like the time you spent like practicing and perfecting your craft should be like put into your art, into your time, because that's part of why the final product looks the way it does. Food for thought. You know, I don't Joseph, were you in the Mech collab?
The mech collab? The
Yeah, at Pixel Dailies.
Yeah, is this the one that we made like 4 different mechs out of like each person building one piece?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you
Yeah.
were you in that one?
I was in the chess mech.
You were in the
Yeah.
chess one. Okay. So me and RSVP had the pleasure of making the most, I would argue, the most famous of the 3 mechs. We got a lot of good comments on it. We made Blitz Kaiser, and
Let's Kaiser himself.
Blitz Kaiser, that was, I mean, that's, I think that is the collab that really got me like, this is what I want to do. You know, that collab changed my life. That was amazing. That's why I think I'm still in the community. So I just want to talk about Blitz Kaiser. I want to gush over Blitz Kaiser. Editing Haboo, if you'd be so kind as to pull up a picture of Blitz Kaiser, that would be great. Oh wow, look at that.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
don't
great
even remember
picture.
what
That's
that
a
thing looks
great
like.
picture. We'll pull up your mech too. We'll pull out, what was it? It was called like Chess
It was
574.
called chess. With like it was like spelled like an acronym thing. Hang on,
Yeah, no, yeah, it
I
was like
finished collabs. Like, see if I can
yeah.
find it.
But
That was fun though. Like
that was a
looking
great
back, that's
collab.
always like the fun one
There we
that everybody
go.
remembers.
Before
But
the
I think the
collab
most
squad,
impressive collab was the tower collab that
Glacier's
4
Tower,
put
yeah.
together.
Oh my
The
god.
tower was definitely impressive.
Yeah, what does
I
chess
think
stand for?
it says it at the bottom. Combat Heavy
Com-
Enforcement System 5. So
oh, so it's
CHES 5.
Ches 5.
I guess so, yes. So yeah, I
Wow.
was the torso on that one.
I was the I don't know
Sammy,
if you
you were
guys
the
could,
head.
I was the
Okay.
head. It was that part of my
Geo.
career. RSVP, what did you do? You were
It's
an
the
arm, weren't
blue
you?
leg.
The blue leg,
Uh,
yeah. I I really yeah, these are 3
You
very
guys
different
had
approaches.
Yeah, you definitely had the most dynamic pose in your whole piece.
Even then, we have the most, I think ours is definitely the most colorful. You know, with the
Yes, that
first
too.
with the first one, you know, it seems like you're all trying to there was like an effort there to like make the robot look together. And then with yours, with the chess one, it's more like we gotta like, let's be creative, but let's stick to a theme. With Blitz Kaiser, it's kind of like, hey, this looks
Mhm.
neat, and then like we didn't really pay attention to what everyone else was doing.
It's like, yeah, you get this spot and do what you want with it.
Yeah.
I,
I've done a similar type of collab to that where you just like slap random stuff together without communicating necessarily, and it can be very entertaining. How absurd it can look.
it's just I loved that collab so much, and that was, you know, the collab squad. It kind of teetered
Hell
out,
yeah.
you know.
It's so
I
sad. It's like the saddest part because Pixel Dailies is still so active and like
Yeah.
there's all these like new people and They should want to
can't-
collab.
Yeah,
I
actually,
can't relate
literally
to
just
these
today,
youngsters.
People were literally posting in the collab channel today, like, is this place just dead? It's like, it's been mostly me keeping it running at all.
Well, like, because we have the collab shack now, and we've
Yes,
all
the
migrated
collab
there. All of the veterans have moved over there,
Mm-hmm. The collab
and
shack
it's
that hasn't been publicly unveiled yet as of this recording.
I might have to censor collab shack. I feel like we've talked about the collab shack before on the
we
show.
gotta talk about it. It's just like we haven't posted anything we've made there.
That's true, yeah, because we haven't had any collabs get out yet. We have 2 collabs technically that are running because we're still trying to
Yes.
finish up one, and we started the other one.
So
But-
stuff to look forward to.
Stuff to look forward to. If you're a viewer who's not in the collab shack, look forward. Don't look back. Look forward. Put that up. We should get merch. I could put that on the t-shirt.
Speaking
Yeah, I
of
haven't
merch,
done any.
RSVP,
you-
you post a number of different things related to like selling your art at like tables and things. I don't know the whole details of how that works, but how does that go? How's that been with the pandemic?
Well, I mean, with the pandemic, it's like less accessible, but yeah, I try to do like local conventions, like sci-fi conventions, and sometimes there's like markets that'll let me like sell prints of my work.
Mm.
But it's pretty much as simple as out and signing up.
Do people flock to your art because of like the gimmick of like, oh, it's pixel art, or is it more like this art looks good? I like this art.
Hard to say. I think it may be like a mix of the two. 'Cause there's like
Do
not a
you-
whole lot of artists here. Like where I live, there's like one other guy that's like, into
we-
pixel art, like seriously. But
That's fair.
we've had a lot of Canadians on this show, so I'm sure you'll find one eventually.
Yeah, but I mean, even I'm studying game dev in college, and we have there's like 3 or 4 other people I can point to who've done pixel art in like that I know from this college altogether. Like, okay, it's definitely not the most popular of mediums.
It's kind of hard
actually
to learn.
surprising. Is
There's
it?
not a lot of tools for one. You have to kind of look to find with other mediums. It's a lot of like, oh, I'll use Fire Alpaca. Oh, I'll use Clip Studio Paint. There's a lot of tools comparatively. So like we got like what
Mm.
do we have Pixel. What was it? Pixel Edit. I should.
Pixel Edit, Sprite. Sprite's really the main one.
Sprite, yeah,
or
yeah,
go-to
and
for.
and how long has that been around for? It's like pixel art, like modern pixel art that's like been like mainly for art reasons to like as a necessity for games. I still think it's kind of niche, and therefore, and then on top of that, whenever I see like my friends who do digital art, when they try to do pixel art, there's a lot of like really common, people do way too much. They put too much blur on it. They use too many colors. They're doing jaggies. I'm sure. It's just there's a lot of there's a learning process with it, and not a lot of people are willing to go through that. So like as a medium, comparatively to other digital art mediums, you're not seeing a lot of pixel artists just kind of walking around the street being like, hey, I got some pixels here to push. Would you like some of my pixels?
There's also just an inherently different workflow to it in some ways. Like pixel art, because every pixel is theoretically important in trying to like preserve its color as a specific value. You can't just using like the same type of tools as you would normally, and like scaling is out of the question without having to rework everything. It's a very different sort of workflow.
I wanted to talk on that. Palettes. Palettes are very important in this medium. What do you got? RSVP, but JUSIV, you're also new, so I guess we could ask what's everyone's opinions on palettes? What kind of are you guys like, I'm just gonna kind of do it by ear, or do you have like a very specific palette you stick to?
For my stuff, I have 2 approaches. I either use the Pico 8 palette or I do it completely by ear, and that's pretty much no in between. Unless we're doing a collab that has a specific palette preset. Pico 8 is an incredibly it's basically my comfort palette. It's super easy to work with for pretty much anything, and it's a very small, nice little set of colors. It's only 16.
Right. What about you, RSVP?
I mean, I love a good preset palette, let me tell you. I mean, I like to switch it up, but I always default back to the Endesga 64. I don't know if I'm saying that
64?
right, so
Is it
apologies.
64? Because there's
Oh, it's
there's like
64. Of
4 of
course,
them.
it's 64.
Well,
No,
no,
it's
because there's
64.
there's Enska like 32, 16, 8, 60. He's probably come up with Endeska 128 by now. Um,
Right, I'm waiting for
actually,
the 264 version.
if you if
Deska 2048.
if you follow my Bad Palettes Twitter, the first thing I posted on there, I think it was Endeska to the power of 3, and it's just you take Endeska Red and then you just switch like which numbers are because Endeska Red is like 68 red. No. Yeah, it's like 255 red and then it's like 68 blue. So what I did, it was EDG to the power of 6. So it's it's like really these tarot it only works with red, so the colors are terrible. I'll put a picture on screen. But it's just it's you have to wonder because like as somebody who developed a palette for a really long time, it's weird how colors develop. And with a color that's like Endeska Red, or I would argue pretty iconic locally, colloquially. Just like how these colors come to prominence and why there are so many colors. There are too many colors is what I'm getting at.
I love a palette with lots of colors.
I usually my palette has like every time I like work with my palette, I'm like I need to add more colors to this. I try to limit myself, but because you can't if you put the whole rainbow on your page, it's gonna just kind of look like slop. Unless you do it right, I'm sure there's somebody out there who's drawn beautiful rainbow. They're beautiful, beautiful rainbows, but at what point are you just like I'm using too many colors? At what point are you like I don't know. There's a lot of argument, I think, on like the spirit of the medium and like, oh, if you use too many colors, are you really even making pixel art?
Yes.
I don't know what you're saying yes
Yes.
to. I think even I got lost in there. This is
If
why
you're using lots of colors, it's definitely still pixel art.
My philosophy is
know.
always
In my
to
mind.
use as few colors as possible.
I love
how
it in
is that
limited
going
palette.
for you?
It works pretty well usually. It does mean that I sometimes have things oftentimes that are just being like largely just one or two colors, like we're one or two hues with a few different shades, which I don't know, maybe that's a distinctive thing about my art. I don't know, but it generally I usually just I stick with like a very small pool of colors, and then if I really find that like, I just can't make a thing work with those, I will add a color that will work for that.
Mm.
And so the exact number of colors I'm using definitely varies a lot by piece, but
It's it's color is just such like a very important part of the medium because we have to use a limited palette by the nature of like there's no built-in anti-aliasing with digital art. Your brush you has a little bit of anti-aliasing to make the lines smooth. With pixel art, you're on your own. You got to put those mid-tones in yourself if you wanna blur it a little bit. God, could you imagine doing that where you're doing a digital art piece but you like hand
God.
anti-alias your line? We are 45 minutes in
All
to our
right.
recording here.
Well, hey, wait. Speaking of 45s, actually, yes, yeah. Speaking of 45s, RSVP, you do some isometric art. I guess it's not even 45s. It's like the halfway between 45 and 90. You know what I'm saying.
Are we talking about
Very
degrees?
very small specific
Math.
angles. Uh,
Yeah.
that isometric art comes up a lot in your stuff. What appeals to you about that style?
I don't know. To be honest, I'm not actually sure. I've never like conceptualized why I like isometric art. Like maybe because it's like formulaic. Like there's like a right way and a wrong way to do it. A box and isometric, it can only look one way because that's how it is. That's how it exists.
Mm-hmm.
How do
I don't know.
you?
I don't know what it is, to be honest. I just love the look of it. Like really, at the end of the day.
Fair enough.
You know what? That's why people do art. I think.
Yeah, you don't necessarily need to rationalize just what you're doing, what you
Why
like
are
seeing.
you? Why do you? What's your deep emotional connection to isometric art?
Well, it all goes back to when I was a child, right? And I was playing Roller Coaster Tycoon. And I wish that were true, but it's not.
Have you ever? Do you have any isometric games that you're really into? currently or in the
like
past?
Roller Coaster Tycoon. Like
Besides
that was
Roller
it. That's,
Coaster Tycoon.
the only one I've ever played. I think. Like I don't even know if I've played any isometric games.
Do you
That's
do you
it's
make
shocking. I think.
if somebody gives you an art prompt, do you default to isometric, or you're like, I'm just gonna do another angle because I'm not. I guess it's a, by the day thing. But what do you usually do?
It depends on the prompt.
Hmm.
Like if I was doing like a pixel dailies or something. Like what's the dailies today?
Hookshot today, I believe.
Oh well, like how
Is
the
it
hell would you
hookshot?
draw that in
It's a date
isometric?
recording.
Like
That's gonna date this. That's gonna date this episode.
Yeah, it is hookshot.
If you're watching at home,
oh yeah,
try to figure out what day hookshot was to figure out when we recorded this video.
it's like a fun puzzle
It is.
game for everyone. But yeah, like I don't know. It just really depends. Like if it was something like a city kind of prompt or like a building,
Mhm.
I'd probably try to do something asymmetric. But I don't know. It just
Do you draw?
depends.
Do you draw people a lot isometrically?
I hate drawing people asymmetrically. They're
Okay,
hard.
thank you, because they suck. Thank you.
Yeah, I haven't delved into it enough personally to get a strong opinion on it, but it definitely seems like it's awkward to do it. Like, I don't know, I don't
Isometric's
like having to
very.
draw guidelines a whole lot.
You like to
Like I
feel
kind
the
of just like
pixels.
haven't ever made an isometric game because it all sounds very complicated and
Mm.
I'll learn. I just like
If
to
I re-
draw it.
if I remember correctly, I don't know if it's Game Maker 2 or Game Maker 1, but there was like there's like an experimental isometric tiling feature. I don't know
Yeah,
if they still have it.
yeah, I
You were
do
just on
recall
Game
that.
Maker. You were just on Game Maker. Could you tell us if that's a thing?
I don't know if it's a thing.
Okay.
It definitely
Freaking
was a thing.
mystery.
I distinctly remember clicking on, like, huh, that's a funky thing. Because it literally just, I don't remember exactly where it aligns the grid up, but it basically just, I think it, like, normally if it's like 16 by 16 grid, it's all 16 by 16 squares. If you do the diamond one, or like the isometric one, it will be like 16 by 16 diamonds that all like intersect as you'd expect.
I made like in Game Maker 1, I tried to do like an isometric game, and then I didn't use the isometric grid. So I was like, God, this sucks. I wish they had an isometric grid. And then immediately after, I was like, oh, hey, an isometric grid. So that was fun. That was real fun. We are approaching. We're at the 50-minute mark, which is usually when we do mail time, which is when we look at the questions in the comments. But so far, as of recording this video, the comments on the last video are either a little risque, or they're just like they're not there. They're just like comments, they're not.
Oh.
It's less the question itself and more the person asking the question. I don't want
Oh
to.
no.
I don't want to get into it, but very creatively named person commented on the last video. Apparently,
Oh
they edited their
boy.
comment, so that's exciting. But you know what? Instead of doing mail time, because I don't want to deal with that. Instead of doing mail time, how about you ask me? How about you ask us a question, RSVP? Let's bring back that from the first episode. Let's ask us a
Alright.
question.
What would you like? Where do you see your future in pixel art? Like, what would you want to do with it if you could have
Well,
your ideal scenario?
I would like to do it as a job. Hopefully, I don't know how realistic that goal is, but I really, if I could support myself with pixel art, that would be great. I would love that.
Hmm.
Like you said, it can be a little soul crushing doing art that isn't just for like the sake of art and just doing it for money is a bit kind of. But I think I would enjoy it. I'm very passionate about the medium. I started a podcast about it.
Fair enough, yeah.
That does
Um,
show dedication.
on
yes.
that note, I want to say there is another pixel art podcast by a different pixel
Oh.
artist, and when you look up pixel art podcast on YouTube, it shows up before we do. And I just want to say, even though it hasn't been like added to in 6 months, this means war. We are officially rivals. Pixel art podcast.
Is that
Yes.
Julian's
It is Julian's, yeah.
podcast? Yeah.
It is the Julian. If you're out there at sundown, bring your pistol.
No, bring your pixels.
Bring your.
Pixels at sunset.
I feel bad,
Um,
Joseph, because for the longest time I mixed you and Julian up.
Well, okay,
I
there
don't.
was a time where there were 3 just people there. There was Justin P, there was Julian, and there was myself, all in the Pixel Daily server. It was
Terrible.
There's
I
a
don't
lot
know
of
Sounds
J's.
awful.
what happened to
There's a lot
Justin
of
P,
J's.
but Julian's still active, just not there.
I
Or I think
I
so.
thought
Wait, actually,
Julian.
might be multiple Julians. I don't know.
It's a pretty
It's been a
common
while.
name. It's a pretty common
Yes.
name, I think.
The Julian I'm thinking of now is the artist Julian, is what his
Yeah.
tag is, I believe.
Yeah.
Probably the pixel artist Julian that most people would know, but I don't
Yeah,
know if
he's
there's
got-
another one.
He's got a Pixel podcast. He's interviewed some highbrow people, but you know what? We got heart, and it's debatable if he has that or not. That sounds rude. I'm gonna say he does for the benefit of the doubt.
We got heart in a tight knit community.
We've got heart. We would have had 2, but Pine left, so we got.
Oh yeah. Also, we had a question for RSVP that I didn't answer yet.
Oh, do you?
I've always done pixel art from like I got started in pixel art because I wanted to make it to support my games. Like it was just like I like handling all the stuff on my own. And I probably like so like ultimately my art always traces back to games as like the motivation for it. Though although dailies also are their own thing that I've just been doing for fun. But in the future, I kind of wanted to lean into trying out pixel art low poly combo stuff. I've started dabbling in that with PicoCAD. That's the thing we can cover later eventually. But yeah, so trying to blend 3D and pixel art is definitely an area I want to look into doing more.
I saw on your Twitter you had a little spinny thing and it was
I've had a few.
I think it was in Pico. Yeah, very interesting. We're wrapping up the show now. If you, yeah, I'm sure Pine will see this. So do you guys have anything to say to Pine, in loving memory, after he was assassinated? We'll go with that. Yeah, he was assassinated.
Until next week.
Until
Or
next
whenever.
week. Next month. It's a monthly thing. Have you watched the podcast RSVP?
I don't usually watch podcasts, but yeah, I have listened to it.
There's certain video aspects to it.
But yeah, I have.
You have, okay, because I got worried for a second that you just came on. You're like, yeah, I'll just pretend. Well, if you somehow enjoyed this episode of the Pixel Art Variety Hour, we'll call it. Leave us
The
a
incredibly
love.
well planned episode.
Incredibly well
With
planned.
no technological issues at all.
None whatsoever.
Old Deacon Spliven, his block was given the way of living right. He said no winging, no ragtime singing tonight. Up jumped Aunt Hager and shouted out with all her might.